Okay, hello? Is this thing on? Hey guys, welcome. You're probably used to a streamcast. We couldn't do the streamcast today because reasons that aren't super important, so I decided to do something kind of different. We're going to see how this goes. I still wanted to kind of talk today, maybe a little bit more casually. Hello, Miyagi, Fat Batman, Midway, nice to see you all. But yes, we're going to I was going to do this anyway, and then they announced the Thrawn book. Because I was like, it's super lame for me to just sit here and be like, look at these cool books I have. And then now oh, hey, Bear. So many people here. Now I want to talk about this. Let me pull it up. I will put a link in for you guys. Hold on. I should have done this sooner. This whole thing, I'm just going to warn you, is going to be kind of a hot mess of a stream. But we're going to do it together, and it's going to be fun. I'm going to drop the link for this in the Discord and then in the chat. So if you go to YouTube... if you go to YouTube... if you go to YouTube discussions in the Discord, you'll see the tweet, and then I'll post it in the chat. Sorry, don't want to confuse somebody. Okay, so I'm gonna do that, and then I will post this in the chat. Okay, let me grab the link. Go. Maybe I won't. Why is this not updating? Come on. There we go. There it is. Copy, and then you... I'm going to put it in the link. I have just one monitor because I can't plug into my monitor and, like, reach. So you're going to see my real name, which is fine. Most of you know my real name, so I'm not really that worried about it. But here's the tweet. Oh, yeah, you got to be so close to finals. How to do this without putting this in. All right. But, so there's the link to the tweet. But basically... what we have is a new Thrawn book. So in this multimedia presentation, I will show you this on my phone, because that's how savvy I am. Thrawn Treason by Timothy Zahn. It says, summer of 2019, so this summer, Thrawn Treason by Timothy Zahn, set before the Rebels finale. Thrawn's imperial loyalty is tested. He crosses paths with Orson Krennic, and his protege, Eli Vanto, returns with dire warnings about Thrawn's homeworld. That's all we know so far. Oh, thanks, Yagi. Oh, yeah, it didn't work because my other account with my real name isn't a mod, so I think that's what happened. But thank you. I appreciate that, Yagi. So I'm pretty excited. So what do you guys think about that? I was really excited to hear that it was going to be about, or that Krennic was going to be involved, because I friggin' love Krennic. Professor Django and I often get in debates about Krennic versus Tarkin, which I think is really fun. For those of you who don't know, these are the other Thrawn books. This is Thrawn. Normal Thrawn. Hey Django, how's it going? So this is the normal Thrawn. This is Thrawn Alliances. If you want, Django and I did a streamcast about Thrawn Alliances. I'm pretty sure it was a streamcast. I don't think it was a normal review. And this one was Thrawn when his loyalty was tested. Basically, all these books are about Thrawn's loyalty being tested. Right, Fat Batman? I was like, really? Like, Thrawn and Krennic. First off, I'm excited that they're putting Krennic back in anything. Second, maybe that means, that the fact that they're bringing him kind of back into another story now, maybe... he's going to be involved in the, the Cassian TV show. How cool would that be? Hey, Andy, sorry, I am having a hard time reading chat, so if I miss anybody, it is not intentional. How's it going? You can't chat from the phone while commuting, but that's all right. I appreciate you being here and listening. Maybe Thrawn's, it's being, right, the Grisk. So the Grisk were in Thrawn Alliances, the second one that involved Vader. And I think that's very plausible. It's certainly Thrawn was worried that the Grisk could be a threat, and the Grisk were tied up in the planet of, isn't it? It's just Batu, right? The planet of Batu, where Galaxy's Edge takes place, and Galaxy's Edge is the Star Wars theme park that Disney's building. So that would make sense because it would be continued branding for the theme park. But it's like, right, Fat Batman. Like, I don't know that they're gonna do it, but how cool would that be? This cup, this mug is my best friend's. They're twins. Their high school graduation mug. I didn't know them in high school. I didn't meet them till college, but I went to their house once, their parents' house, and they had a box full of these, and I was like, I want a mug with my best friend's name on it. So that's what I'm drinking today. But I wish we knew more. It was really cool what Del Rey Star Wars did, because they tweeted out a picture earlier. It was a GIF of Palpatine saying it's treason then. And everyone was like, is it a Palpatine novel? Which I thought would be cool, but I wasn't really sure they were going to do because it's too close to the Plagueis novel by James Luceno. Because the Plagueis novel is obviously largely about Darth Plagueis, but there's a ton of Palpatine in it. Like, if you want Palpatine's origin story, albeit it's technically Legends now, but if you'd like to read an origin story for Palpatine, Plagueis is the book to do that in. But that was so much about Palpatine. And thus far, while they've covered stuff in new canon that was established in old canon, like they've done, like Rogue One, there were 900 other stories for how the Death Star plans got stolen. So Rogue One is an example of that. They haven't really rewritten any Star Wars books, so I wasn't sure it was really gonna be Palpatine. I thought maybe they were gonna do like a Mace Windu novel, but then that would be too much like Shatterpoint. But it turns out the line treason was just the name of the book. And it's great to see that they still have Zahn. It makes total sense now, too, because he's already announced for being at Celebration, which no one would really question why Timothy Zahn would be at a Star Wars convention. But now, of course, he's going to be there because he's going to be talking about this new book. So I think that's pretty exciting. Mikiyagi, when you say put him back, does that mean this is his first appearance in new canon? Sorry, who was I talking about? Was I talking about Krennic? Or was I talking about Plagueis? I'm sorry. I should have read that sooner. I lost what I was talking about. I will happily answer your question. I didn't read your comment in time for my train of thought. Please bring him on the casting. I saw that. If memory serves right, the Grisk are essentially canon version of Yaz and Vong. Yes and no. Yes, in the sense that they are an extra galactic species, not in that they are another galactic species, but like they are from outside the known galaxy, and the Vong were the species in Legends that were from outside the galaxy. I believe if you read the Thrawn duology, if you read the Thrawn trilogy, and then there's references to it in the Thrawn duology, he talks about there being an issue with another more eviler force, and then it ends up being the Vong, which conveniently Professor Django and I are reading those books, and when I say we're reading those books, I mean I'm not doing my homework, but that's okay. Krennic is only in new canon. Krennic is in Rogue One. So I shouldn't have said back into canon. I just meant like he was in Rogue One and he was in the novel that led up to Rogue One, and he hasn't really been in a whole lot since. And so it's nice to see him in material again. With this book. More Clone Wars novels. I really enjoyed the MedStar books. It was a lot like MASH, the TV show in space. I have those. I did say I was going to show off my books. It's the MedStar duology. I really like Michael Reeves and Steve Perry. Steve Perry wrote Shadows of the Empire. And then Michael Reeves wrote several Star Wars novels, including Darth Maul, Shadowhunter, and I guess I was showing you book 1 or book 2 and then book 1. And then he wrote. So actually, Michael Reeves kind of has his own universe within Star Wars. He wrote Darth Maul, Shadowhunter, and then he wrote these, and then he wrote the Coruscant Nights trilogy, and then Death Star, I think. I can't remember if it was the Coruscant Nights trilogy, then Death Star, and then the Coruscant Nights trilogy. Michael Reeves is infamous for, I haven't read this yet, I really mean to, but I kind of want to reread the whole trilogy. But he's famous for writing The Last Jedi. Did you know that there's a Star Wars novel in Legends called The Last Jedi that is set between episodes 3 and 4 and has absolutely nothing to do with anything that's in the movie The Last Jedi? Fun fact. But same author. But yeah, these are basically MASH in space. They're pretty good. They're, it's a lot about Barriss Offrey, who is Ahsoka's friend in the Clone Wars. She has a very different story in these books. But I like those a lot. I'm a little touch and go with the Republic Commando series. I liked the first one, Hard Contact. I hated 000, and I must admit I never kept with the series. But that's just me. I know a lot of people like them, so I try not to go on my rants about them too much and let people enjoy what they enjoy. But I liked these quite a bit. These were fun because there's a little bit of a mystery in them too, and I actually was able to figure the mystery out, and I felt really smart. But these would be a fun reread sometimes. I missed the old Clone Wars novel. My favorite Clone Wars novel of all time, and really my favorite Star Wars novel of all time, is Shatterpoint by Matthew Stover about Mace Windu. Oddly enough, I got looped into a conversation about Shatterpoints on Twitter earlier today. But that's this. This is one of the best books. She was Ahsoka's friend. Yeah, some friend she was, too. I love the Coruscant Knights books. Sucks that they kind of ended... Yeah, well, they ended in a cliffhanger at the end of the third book, didn't they? There was, like, just this other kid running around with powers. Like I said, I haven't read The Last Jedi. But, like, those books kind of had a bad habit of ending in a cliffhanger and then being done, and then the series getting revived and then ending in a cliffhanger. I don't even understand. The Coruscant Knights books were famously retconned because they kill off even Peel in the beginning of the first book, which takes place during the Great Jedi Purge, and of course even Peel dies in Clone Wars. So that was a little bit different. I was about to show you guys. Oh, I was going to tell you guys this one. This is a book I reference a lot. That's terrible. I don't know that I've ever talked to anybody who likes this book. Count Dooku's on the cover. I don't think he's actually, like, in the book, though, if I remember correctly. Asajj Ventress is in the book, but Count Dooku isn't. He's just, like, he's in it, but he's in it for, like, a chapter, and he tells Asajj to go do a thing, and then he's not in it anymore. But this book's pretty crazy. Are you really friends with someone if you don't frame them? Right? I mean, come on, Fat Batman. Who hasn't done that to their friends? I know I have. This book is famous for, I'll go a little bit off-brand, and basically there's a chick in it who used to be in love with Jango Fett, because who wasn't in love with Jango Fett? So she meets a clone, and decides that she's also in love with the clone, because the clone and Jango Fett would be the same person. They fall in love. There's also this race of sentient, force-sensitive eels, and at some point the two of them who are in love go in a cave and get to know each other better, and in honor of the beauty of the moment of getting to know each other better, the force-sensitive eels crawl out of the water and, like, flop around in a circle around them while they get to know each other better. And it's one of the... It's never left me. I'll just say that scene has never left me. Legends is a weird place, guys. Right? Yeah, they're force-sensitive eels, and the Separatists were putting the force-sensitive eels into droids that were called Jedi killers, and so they put force-sensitive eels into the droids so that they could be force-sensitive droids to fight the Jedi, and then at the end, the droids don't actually kill anything because the eels feel so guilty killing anything that they self-destruct, and that's the end of the book. So I just ruined it for you, so now you don't have to read it. So that's the thing. If you're going to read a book, read Shatterpoint. It's infinitely better. By several leagues is it better. It really is. I think I've read all of the Clone Wars novels from the first run of Clone Wars books, like before the 3D animated show came out. I've read all of them except for Jedi Trial. I don't remember the name of the author, but it's the one about Corran Horn's ancestor. And I've not read the last two Republic Commando novels. I've only read the first two, so I've technically missed 3. Andy says, But how can you fall in love with a clone with clearly? I don't know. I tried not to think about it too much. Also, Obi-Wan was like socially awkward as all get out in it. I mean, he kind of is anyway, but it felt more so. Jedi Hut is pretty weird. I don't think I ever read the material with the Jedi Hut, but I know the Jedi Hut exists. And it's pretty weird. I mean, I guess he could just levitate everywhere. It would be pretty good. Never thought about Force-sensitive eels having a sense of morality. Yep. Yeah, no, it was weird. It was a weird book. It was a very strange book. But anyway, I'm really excited for this. Timothy Zahn, for those of you who might not know, is the man that is responsible for all of this. After the Star Wars movies were released, while they were being released, there were a couple of novels. There was one of Django's favorite, Professor Django, not Django Fett, but one of Professor Django's favorites is Splinter of the Mind's Eye, which is great because basically, word on the street is it's based off of a story that George Lucas had. Like, in case Star Wars failed, it would be a really low-budget sequel to make. And it's great because there's all these awkward scenes between Luke and Leia because they don't know they're siblings yet, because George didn't tell anybody that. No, I think I knew what you meant, dude. It's all good. Don't even worry about it. Oh, I'm peeking like crazy. I'm sorry, guys. Let me turn myself down a little bit. What was I saying? Oh, yeah, so Timothy Zahn. So before him, there was, like, some really interesting books that are weird. I think I've shown it on stream before. Come on a walk with me, because my ears are plugged into the computer. Because I think I keep this book over. I do. This is one of the early Star Wars books. This is Lando Calrissian and the Mind Harp of Sharu. I've never read it. I've read the first couple of pages, and it was like 20 pages of a Sabacc game, and I couldn't do it anymore. Yeah, 24. I found my bookmark from when I tried reading it. They were still playing Sabacc, and I gave up. But if you watch Solo: A Star Wars Story, when Lando is doing his journal, he's like, "There, L3 and I were at the Temple of Sharu," and it's a reference to this book. Oh no, that's totally fine. Have a great time, Fat Batman, and good luck on finals. So yeah, this cover is just everything in my life, though. But this is what we had for a long time. We had a Lando Calrissian trilogy. We had 2 Han Solo trilogies. I have some of those. I have 2 books of one of the Han Solo trilogies. Also never read. I have a whole shelf here of Star Wars books I own but have not read, because I keep buying them from used bookstores, super cheap. Oh, you're reading the Lando one? Maybe I should give it a try then, if you don't think it's that bad. I'm willing to give it a shot. I mean, I tried reading it like 10 years ago, so my attention span is probably better now. But these are 2 books out of one of the Han Solo trilogies. This is the Crispin one. I think the one that's generally considered better is the Brian Daley one, which is the one I don't own books of. But I've not read either of them myself. But that's what we had. And then in 1991 for anybody out there? In 1991, Django, you just reread this if you're still there. Heir to the Empire, which was the first in the Thrawn trilogy. And the Thrawn trilogy is what built the expanded universe. These books were so wildly popular. They just kind of changed what Star Wars books could be. And they did so well that's why I have all of this. This is why they kept making Star Wars books. So Timothy Zahn is the man that started the Star Wars Renaissance, basically, and led to the expanded universe being what it was. He wrote the Thrawn trilogy, which kind of started it all. And then after several years, licensing was going to change. They were released by Bantam Books, and I think is it Bantam? What is it? Bantam, yeah. Bantam Books. It was Bantam Books. And Bantam Books either was going out of business or got bought by Del Rey or something. So it was the end of the Bantam era, and the Del Rey era, which is what started with the New Jedi Order, was coming into being. And Timothy Zahn also ended that out, writing the Hand of Thrawn duology. And then in the Del Rey time period, in the Del Rey era, he wrote Survivor's Quest and then Outbound Flight. Outbound Flight is a Clone Wars era novel, and that is what it was kind of like a 7-book series. It was really cool because you read them chronologically except for the last book. So it goes Thrawn Trilogy, Thrawn Duology, Survivor's Quest, and then you read Outbound Flight. You go all the way back to the beginning. And the big thing with Thrawn is they kept referencing the Outbound Flight project. And the Outbound Flight project is part of where Thrawn got brought into the Republic as it became the Empire. And it was a really cool series, and I remember I didn't read the trilogy of the duology as they came out, but I read Survivor's Quest and Outbound Flight as they came out, and I was really into them. And then after that, Zahn also wrote a duology of standalones. I think that's how it goes. And it was Allegiance and Choices of One, and it was about this corps of stormtroopers. And then he wrote a book called Scoundrels. So anyway, Timothy Zahn's written a lot of Star Wars, and lo and behold, they brought him into new canon with the character of Thrawn, and it was a really big deal because it was one of the first times we'd seen new canon make a gesture of bringing in something that was Legends and like really recanonizing it, and to do it with a beloved character with the author that created that character was just a really cool move. You just finished Jaden Core spin-offs Crosscurrent and Riptide. You have read much more than I have. I have not read anything later than, chronologically speaking, anything later than Dark Journey. I was going to read everything from Vector Prime on in chronological order, and I started reading the NJO, and I stopped reading the NJO, not because I wasn't enjoying it, because I got to college and I didn't have time to read anything else. And so that's why we're revisiting it with Django and I, and when we finish the NJO, I want to read like the Dark Nest trilogy that I never read. I'm going to read Legacy of the Force. I want to Fate of the Jedi. I want to read all of it. And Riptide and Crosscurrent would be a part of that as well. Andy says, so that must be why Thrawn comes off more completely. Yes, that's why. Yep, because his backstory between Legends and canon is not the same, but it's close enough. Like, spiritually, it's the same. Thrawn was this kind of strange tactical alien that they found and brought into the Republic, and he started serving Palpatine. Like, all that's the same, but some of the other stuff's a little bit different. You're kind of reading all of it. Yeah. I used to do that when I was reading Legends before college, and I was reading Legends a ton. I would jump around the timeline purposely just because I got bored. So I would read, like, NJO stuff and then I'd read, like, Tor stuff, and then I'd read Clone Wars stuff, and then I'd go back to the NJO just because I couldn't stand to read in the same time period for too long. While we're talking, I'll show you. So this, I don't know how many of you guys watched my Black Friday video. You certainly don't need to. It was just a cool thing. But I've started to collect the Young Jedi Knights books, which were chapter books about Jason and Jaina Solo. I did not leave that up very long, I'm sorry. I'm pretty excited to do that. One of my criticisms about the NJO when I read it the first time was that I never felt attached to the Solo children, because I never felt like the books gave me a reason to do that. But now I'm feeling more connected to them now that I'm reading it this time. I lied. I do have a Brian Daly book. I have one Brian Daly book. And I got this because it's not a first edition because it's not a hardcover, but it's a first edition paperback. So this book is from 1979. And it's in pretty decent condition for being from 1979. So I picked that up, and I was pretty excited. We can keep talking about Thrawn if you guys want, or if you guys have anything to say. Otherwise, I'm just going to start pulling crap off my shelf and showing you, because that's pretty much the plan right now, because I got nothing else. This is one of my favorite things I have, Star Wars Galactic Phrasebook and Travel Guide. It's written by Ben Burt, who's the sound designer on Star Wars, and he, like, made all these languages. It's really fun. Like, here's how to speak Huttese. Here's how to speak, let's see, what's this chapter? Jawas can be your friends. So it teaches you how to speak Jawa. So, like, if I wanted to say, this is not for sale, I would say, Yana Kuzu Pike. Oh, yeah, thanks, Yagi. This is one of my favorite shirts ever of all time. Here's how to speak Gungan, how to speak all kinds of stuff. And then the back of the book is all about how Ben Burtt designed the sound in Star Wars. And so it's pretty cool. And then some of these scenes right here in the back, these are what characters are saying in the movie. So, like, here's the confrontation in A New Hope between Greedo and Han, the famous Han shot first scene. And it's what the Huttese words are and what the English, or rather basic, words are, which is kind of cool. They have the lyrics for the Ewok victory celebration. So, as you may know, the original edition, the theatrical edition of Return of the Jedi had the Yub Nub song at the end. And it's like, Yub Nub, E-Chop, Yup Nub. It's great. You should look it up sometime. Anyway, this also tells me what those words mean. Omar! Omar, this is not the stream to watch because this is the hot mess stream. But I appreciate you being here. Omar the Negotiator, my buddy that I have a secret project with that you'll all hear about one day. But right now it's a secret. I shouldn't even have said, I've said too much already. He's gonna send the Guavian Death Gang after me. Something I love about the new Thrawn books is you can almost read them as prequels. Yes, that's true. They're a little bit different, but they're not different enough that it's not a big deal. Like, you can almost imagine they work in the same canon. And that's what I said about, I wasn't reviewing books, but when I read the first Thrawn book, so I guess I could talk about that a little bit. But the first Thrawn book, what I kind of told people is it didn't really tell you anything new about the character, but I liked it because it told me the character was the character I already knew, right? Like, Thrawn was the Thrawn we knew, but I was glad to know that Thrawn was the Thrawn we knew. So if you didn't know who Thrawn was, it was an excellent introduction. If you did know who Thrawn was, you probably weren't going to learn anything new, but you were going to know that the Thrawn you liked existed. It set up Eli to be the new, paleontology, the admiral captain in the Thrawn trilogy. I cannot pronounce most words that Timothy Zahn writes. Timothy Zahn usually uses too many vowels or not enough, and you have to just, like, say it and hope it works. Well, that's the thing, though, is, my understanding is, like, when A New Hope came out, everybody hated 3PO. And then Return of the Jedi came out, and everybody hated the Ewoks and forgot about 3PO. And then Phantom Menace came out, everyone hated Jar Jar and forgot about the Ewoks. And then Clone Wars came out, and maybe people didn't forget about Jar Jar, but then everyone hated Ahsoka. And then the new trilogy came out, and I don't know who we hate. There's not, like, a unified hatred of one character. There's just hatred in general. Alliances was good. Alliances, we had a streamcast on it, but basically there were parts of Alliances I really liked and parts of Alliances I thought were okay. I remember liking the Clone Wars stuff with Anakin and Padme more. Part of that is because, oh, frick, what's his name? Obi's Kenobes, I can't remember his handle. But the guy who does the Star Wars comic, his tweets with Thrawn and bro Anakin, like, changed my life. They were so funny. That guy is hilarious. I need to actually read a Star Wars comic, because if he's that funny, I'm sure it's like the comic is so well done, even though I haven't read it yet. But I liked Alliances. I liked parts of Alliances better than others, I guess is what I would say. One thing you like about Zahn's solo books is they can fit. Yeah, that's true too. Like, Scoundrels would probably work pretty well. Actually, I could show you guys that. I have a copy of Scoundrels. Don't mind me. Like I said, this is the hot mess stream. So I have a copy of Scoundrels in hard copy that my buddy got signed for me. So I've never met Timothy Zahn, but a friend of mine went to a convention and bought me Scoundrels and had Timothy Zahn sign it for me. So that's pretty cool. So I do, in fact, have a book signed by Timothy Zahn, which I think is pretty awesome. It's the only Star Wars signature I have, really, but I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, anything outside of his like Thrawn books could still kind of fit. But how can anyone hate the author of Sky Guy? I didn't like Ahsoka when she was new, but I love her now. She had a really good arc. Alliance, but to me it felt too short. Yeah, I don't know that I felt it was short. I don't know that I felt like it had enough story for its pages. It's kind of how I feel about Lords of the Sith by, is that Kemp? Is it Paul S. Kemp who wrote Lords of the Sith in New Canon? I can't remember. But I remember really liking Lords of the Sith, but feeling like the amount of story that was in it was enough for like the first third of a normal book. And that they just elongated a third of a book into a whole book. But it was a really good third of a book, if that made sense. Let's see, still talking. Pretty impressed I've like actually come up with words to say. See how long that lasts. What other cool crap do I have? I have this. I should do more with this. Does anybody have any of the Art of the Movies books? I have the Art of the Last Jedi. Yes, okay, it was Paul S. Kemp. Cool. This is the only Art of book I have because I got it for Christmas last year. It really makes me want to pick up the ones for the other 3 films. But it's really cool because it's like all concept art. If you follow, I'm blanking on his name too, but I have a tweet from him in our Discord. If you go there. There's a guy who's like an archivist for Lucasfilm, basically. Actually, I know his name because it's here. Phil Zostack. That guy. If you follow that guy on Twitter, the Phil guy. I mean, you can follow Ryan Johnson too, but that's not who I'm talking about. He just all day long tweets out really cool old Star Wars stuff because he's the archivist. Yeah, he's a really good follow. Ugh, tell me how beautiful that is. I just want to like drool on it. It's so good. It's like it's Rey. It's my girl Rey with Snoke. It's so good. This is really cool. I have a hard time. I don't usually get books like this myself unless somebody, like my folks, bought me this and it was a really nice gift. But hey Tim, how's it going? Usually if I'm buying stuff for myself, I'm like the price of this one book is like 3 or 4 paperbacks, and then I opt for the 3 or 4 paperbacks because I'm cheap. But I would love to get more of these because these are stunning. I think it's funny that the production or the publisher is Abrams, which I'm sure is no relation to J.J. Abrams, but it's funny. Who do you think is the worst Legends author? I mean, despite the fact that I've just complained about like 5 books, I don't really like to spend too much time on what I don't like. I will say though, the worst Legends book I read is Children of the Jedi, and that's only because I didn't read Crystal Star. I have yet to read Crystal Star, which is supposed to be the actual worst one, but Barbara Hambly wrote Children of the Jedi, and it's pretty terrible. So maybe her. I guess for me, it's kind of different too, because I think there's some authors who are really good at writing that don't get Star Wars, and there's some authors who really get Star Wars that aren't good at writing. Well, me sitting here in my Captain America pajama pants on my bedroom floor saying they're not good at writing is for as much credit as you'll get that from me. Do you think we'll ever get more on... I think we will get more on Snoke. I don't know that we'll get more on Snoke in episode 9. I don't know that we'll ever get more of Snoke on screen. And, you know, what I kind of tell people is if you look at the original trilogy, Emperor Palpatine was not in episode 4. So he's only in 2 of the 3 movies in that trilogy. And Snoke is probably only going to be in 2 of the 3 movies in this trilogy. And we'll know about as much about Snoke as we knew about Palpatine at the end of the original trilogy. I think we could get a Snoke novel in the vein of the Plagueis novel from Legends, or a comic series, something like that. I think that's really, really plausible. I don't think they'll not do it, especially considering how popular of a character Kylo Ren is, if we don't get a Snoke novel, we will eventually, there's no way we will never get the story of Ben Solo turning to the dark side. There's just no way. And in that way, we will definitely get more about Snoke. I'm doing well. I'm doing this kind of nutty thing with my bookshelf. I don't know if this is anything anyone would be interested in. But to be fair, we have the same viewership we usually have. So maybe it's going well. Oh, yeah, there are so many books. So this is my shelf. I guess I can, like, really show you my shelf. There's a couple of gaps on here because I keep pulling crap off of it. But this is all Legends. In what should be chronological order. But Legends, Legends, Legends. And these are all Legends books that I've read. And then down here are more Legends books that I haven't read. So this is my stack of books I own but haven't read yet. So that's just the old books. Like, if you were to look, it should have a semi-decent, up-to-date. This is the old timeline. And these are just novels. And these do not include chapter books, like kids' chapter books. These do not include comics. These do not include games. Like, there was probably 200 Star Wars novels, if not more, depending on what you defined as a novel. It's pretty great. And then the new canon, I don't own a lot of the new canon yet. I read most of it through the library, but what I have is largely there. Definitely avoid the crystal. Yeah, I've heard that it's terrible. One of these days I might read it. If we hit 1,000 subs, I'll read it for you guys. How about that? She said before they even hit 500. Red Harvest is so good. Do I have any? I do, Tim. If I can be self-promoting and jerkish, I would say we actually have a video on what to read first. If you would rather just watch the video. And I break it down by, if you want Legends, where to start in Legends, and if you want new canon, where to start in new canon. But if you want, I would just say the most common entry point to Legends canon is the Thrawn trilogy by Timothy Zahn. It was kind of considered the sequel trilogy before we had a sequel trilogy. And new canon, there's any number of places you could start in new canon. It kind of depends on what characters you like. Red Harvest is so good. I love Red Harvest. Funny thing with Red Harvest is it was originally called Black Orchid because there's a black orchid in it. And then they changed the name because apparently it sounded too much like a bad romance novel. And so they went with Red Harvest, which is, of course, a play on Blue Harvest. Blue Harvest being the... when Return of the Jedi was getting made, they couldn't go anywhere. Because if it was Star Wars, they were, like, charging $2 for what they would normally charge $1 for. And crowds were everywhere, so they started calling the movie Blue Harvest. Which was pretty cool. Thank you. This isn't even the best collection I've seen. I'm in a Discord group called Star Wars Reference. The Negotiator is in it as well. And there's some guys in there with, I don't even, like, their collections are sick. They own, like, every hardcover of every Star Wars novel ever in, like, first edition. And, like, I get so jealous. Like, I can't even look at the pictures because they're so cool. I was drinking hot chocolate, and now it's cold chocolate, and it's kind of gross. So I'm going to set this, I keep setting it over here, so I don't drink it anymore, and then forgetting and going and grabbing it. Hopefully we get more Inferno Squad in the future. Really enjoy it. I loved Inferno Squad. Inferno Squad might be, I think I would put Inferno Squad at number 3 in new canon. I think I'd go Phasma, Bloodline, Inferno Squad. I adored everything about Inferno Squad. It was so good. The characters worked really well. I like how the new canon has been doing, where they basically show how somebody could exist as a stormtrooper, which is really cool. And, like, the thought process and how people kind of, like, figure out, like, how they handle being in the Empire after the Death Star and everything. What else do I have that would be cool to show you? I guess I could show you guys the entirety of my shelves. You don't ever see all of them in my videos because of how I sit. But down here, this is some non-Star Wars stuff. But this is the entire series of 24, all 8.5 seasons. The 9th season was only 12 episodes. All of Fringe, the first 2 seasons of Sleepy Hollow, which are the only 2 seasons that count. The first 2 seasons of Gotham, which I loved, and I pretty much never watch TV anymore because I work at a TV station. Some of you know that. And I watch TV for 40 hours a week, and so I never watch TV when I'm home anymore because I watch it for 40 hours and I can't do it anymore. And then these are just some odds and end movies here. And then these are most of the MCU films. First couple seasons of Psych, every season of Monk except for the 5th season, which is the only one I never bought, just because I never got around to buying it. There was nothing wrong with it. And then here we have Star Wars. So this is Phantom Menace on VHS, VHS of the theatrical release of the original trilogy, special edition on VHS, DVDs, Clone Wars movie, the Genndy 2D series, which can't go back on because I can't do it one-handed. Blu-rays of the Clone Wars, the 6th Lost Mission season, but I only have that on DVD. Original trilogy, DVD edition, Saga Blu-ray, steel cases of all the Disney films, soundtracks, and then up here is just more rando crap. I really liked Gotham. I really enjoyed, and I'm not a big Batman fan. I'm not a Batman fan. I'm about as casual of a Batman fan as you can get. I really liked Gotham. Like I said, I only stopped watching it because of time. I work overnights, so I go to bed by 7 p.m. every night, and it's currently 5 p.m. here now. And because of that, I'm not exactly awake for prime time. So I just kind of stopped. Up. That's more movies, random books. I call that shelf, the one that's like directly above my head, my pretentious shelf, because that's all my old film school books. And then that's, these are some old pop bottles from Revenge of the Sith release. This shelf is not currently done. This is just like a bunch of stuff. Down here is all good stuff. It's just not organized. A bunch of stuff fell over because I dropped something on it earlier, which was really talented. This is my Kylo Ren shrine with all of my Kylo Ren stuff. JK, for those of you who know. Yeah, right, that used to be my license plate. I don't have a personalized one anymore, but that used to be my license plate. The S is... Where did it go? The S is because I live in Michigan, so it's Michigan State Spartans for the S, which is pretty cool. We just kept a duplicate of the plate. But yeah, like I said, JK is my initials, as some of you know. Legends of Luke Skywalker book. From a certain point of view, I keep the Thrawn books up there. And then this is the stuff you see behind me all the time. So this is some of my random crap. And then I have a bunch of guidebooks over here. Like I have, I'll show you guys this. Sorry, that might have been really loud. I hit my headphones. Let me grab, oh, this is one. I have, these are my 2 favorite things ever. I'll grab one of my 2 favorite things ever. Like I have Kylo Ren Shrine, yep. These are some of the old Essential Guides. Essential Guide is like the name. So it used to be like Essential Guide to Characters, Essential Guide to Vehicles, Essential Guide to Planets. This is the Essential Guide to the Force, which has also... The guidebooks are always worth it just for the pictures. Look at that. Isn't that stunning? I adore it. So many good pictures. And what was cool about this is there's a bunch of really good Legends photos. So like these are children on Rusan, which is from the Darth Bane books. That sort of thing. So like I really like these old guides. I have this. A friend of mine gave me these. These are probably actually worth some money now with the new canon. But these are reprints of the original Marvel run comics. So Marvel made comics way back in the day. So this is kind of what they look like. I mean, these aren't first edition by any stretch of the imagination, but they're cool. What's fun about this is they were based off of the scripts. So this guy, that yellow guy with the goatee, him, that's Jabba the Hutt. In the original script of Star Wars, Jabba the Hutt was furry. And then when they went to put him in A New Hope, and when they eventually put him in Return of the Jedi, they didn't want to make him furry, probably because Chewbacca's furry, and so they made him a giant slug. So that's kind of cool. Oh, this man with the great pants. Where's a good shot of, there we go. Look at this man with the great pants. Look at that man's pants. Aren't those great? I really like the broad shoulder pads. I don't know, just, it's good stuff. Oh, and then this is Jackson. He's like the 6-foot-tall green rabbit. Recently recanonized by Cavan Scott in Star Wars Adventures. So that's all pretty cool. I don't know. This might have hit the point of being uninteresting, but that's just kind of stuff I have. But I have oh, these are cool. I don't have Last Command, but I have the comics of the Thrawn trilogy, so Heir to the Empire and Dark Force Rising. The comic adaptations of those. These are pretty nice. These are the Dark Horse prints. And a lot of this stuff has just been given to me, or I've found at, like, old bookstores. I have this. This never makes it in any of my videos, but I really like it. It's a Rogue One Pez set. So it's, like, in the Death Star. And it has Vader, a Death Trooper, the Death Star, and a Stormtrooper. So you can see it better on the picture in the back, because the picture on the back doesn't reflect. That's just enough showing off. Honestly, like I said, I know people with, like, way better stuff than I have. Yeah. Oh, are you not familiar? Like, Star Wars has a long history of Pez dispenser. Like, here's a Kylo Ren Pez dispenser. Oh, yeah, no. They, like, still make this stuff. I have a couple. Hold on. I have more somewhere, but this is an R2-D2 one. I have a Death Star one somewhere. Is it here, or is it... I have so much Star Wars crap, it's not all in the same place. But Star Wars Pez dispensers have a long history. It's pretty cool. You can find a lot of really good ones. I mean, they're still out there. You haven't missed out yet. That's not when it's a clock. Yes, I have a Death Star clock too. Up there. That you can see if you look at the thumbnails for my book club videos. That's this shelf with all of this stuff. I've just since added stuff. Well, thank you guys. I mean, I suppose I could have been feeding the hungry instead of collecting this stuff, but I like to collect this stuff. This on my wall. This is a cannibalized calendar. Hey, Bosk, welcome. Is JP okay? You mean my shirt? Imperial Park? Is that the JP you're talking about? This is our, like, semi-streamcast because we had to do things a little bit differently today. Hey, no problem. But I'm pretty excited for Star Wars books getting released in 2019 because we have... What first up is Queen Shadow, right? Oh, meant PJ. Yeah, PJ is fine. Django's fine. He has an ill family member he's taken care of today, that's all. So, he was lurking. Just couldn't commit to sitting for an hour, which is totally fine. So I just kind of did this impromptu. But, yeah, so I think the first book out, novel-wise, is Queen Shadow, by E.K. Johnston, who wrote the Ahsoka novel. And then, I'm excited for that, but I'm really excited for Master and Apprentice by Claudia Gray, which is the Obi-Wan Qui-Gon novel. I'll actually show you guys this. I'll show you, this is why I'm excited. I told you before that I found my bookmark in this book. I'll tell you, if you guys want to know anything about collecting, Bosk is the guy to talk to. I was showing him my my book collection. Although Bosk is better at action figures than me, for sure. But this book, this is a Jedi Apprentice is a chapter series by Jude Watson that was really, really good. And I'm hoping that Master and Apprentice is kind of like in that vein. I think that would be pretty cool. And then now we have the Thrawn book, Thrawn Treason. I think it's cool because they're called Thrawn, and then it's Thrawn Alliances, and then it's Thrawn Treason. So I wonder how it's going to go, because it's before the Rebels finale. But Thrawn isn't, like, treasonous at that point. I don't, like I said, I mean, I have a lot, but I keep being shown up by, there's some cool collections out there. But, I don't know, I just like having Star Wars stuff. But, yeah, I'm sorry guys, I'm all over the place. I'm just all over the place. But, that's good. And then there still should be some stuff. Someone said it's during the episode. Oh, during Jedi Night. That's interesting. That's very interesting. So it's like where Thrawn is up until that point. Because it's been a while since I haven't watched season 4 of Rebels since it's been on. Is Thrawn on Lothal at that point? So would the book take place on Lothal? Something that confuses me is the canon junior novels aren't listed in the canon timeline in books like Phasma or Thrawn Alliances. Yeah, they don't put a lot of the junior novels in stuff. In fact, I'm wondering, let me look, Last Shot's probably the most updated one. Yeah, so none of the young reader, or not young readers, none of the young adult novels are listed on here either. So like if you were to ask people what the best new canon novels are, a lot of people would tell you one of the top ones, if not the best one, is Lost Stars by Claudia Gray. And Lost Stars is not listed on the canon timeline because it's considered a young adult novel. Ahsoka's not listed. Most Wanted's not listed, I don't believe. And all three of those are great books, but for some reason, they're not listed on there. And I think some of it has to do with publishing. I feel like I've heard this somewhere, but I could really be wrong. But a different, like if I were to look at this, so the Most Wanted is a young adult novel, and it's published by Disney Lucasfilm. See? And oh, sorry, I'm getting behind on chat. The new Thrawn book. Oh, yeah. I'm reading it now, and he's not on Lothal for most of it. He's not even there in Jedi Knights. Okay, Lost Stars is really good. It's literally the last. Okay, I had forgotten that. Had no idea what was a junior novel. Not. Yeah. So what I was saying is, Most Wanted is considered a young adult novel, and it's published by Disney Lucasfilm. But if you were to look at Last Shot, which is on the canon list, it's Del Rey. So things like Lost Stars is canon, but because it's released by a different publisher, it's not on the canon timeline that Del Rey publishes. So Del Rey only includes Del Rey books in their timeline. So anything that's considered for just younger audiences comes out through Disney, not Del Rey. That's why it's not on that timeline. So if you need it's really confusing, and it didn't used to be that way when there was Lucas Books in old days. But if you go to something like Wikipedia and look at their canon timeline, it combines everything. They have a really good timeline, actually, because you can look at it's a timeline of canon material that includes everything, including books, comics, games, movies, junior novels, everything. And then you can select which ones you want to see on the breakdown. So if you like everything but comics, you can look at everything but comics. Or if you only care about comics, then you can look at the comics. But that's really the best resource if you want to know, or at least that I'm aware of. Some of you guys might have a better one. But that's, in this day, unfortunately, they make it really confusing. And it's unfortunate because Lost Stars and Most Wanted, oh, and Leia, Princess of Alderaan, also by Claudia Gray, not on the list because I think it's considered a junior novel, right? I'm pretty sure that Leia, Princess of Alderaan is considered a junior novel. Or not a junior novel, a young adult novel. And those are three of the best books in the new canon. I liked Ahsoka. I didn't love Ahsoka, but I liked it quite a bit. I'm planning on rereading it in light of the new Clone Wars episodes, so I liked it enough to reread it. I know a lot of people didn't like it. I know some people who adored it. I think a lot of it depends on your opinion of Ahsoka. But it's kind of unfortunate because some really good books that are very integral to canon are not considered on a like a list. Yeah. Yeah, I wish they had just a normal master list too. But now that it's not all done through Lucas books, that they don't get away with that. But yeah, that's kind of an odd quirk. But I think we're at an hour, which is usually what we do. I'm happy to keep going if anybody wants to talk about anything else. But I gotta be honest, I feel a little weird just sitting here. Like, here's my face, guys. Hope you like it. Because I've never just done this before without at least playing a game for you or having Django's beard to entertain you all. But I am getting a bit tired too, I guess. Like I said, we're 2 hours from my bedtime. I live my life on England's clock, is what I like to say. Because, like, I go to bed when all my English friends go to bed. So, Canto Bight, I never finished. I read the first 2 stories and then just kept forgetting to finish it. And it was a library book, and I kept renewing it and renewing it and renewing it, and I eventually gave up. I don't have a problem with Canto Bight in theory, and I really do want to finish it because the 2 stories I didn't read were the last 2, and they're Ray Carson and John Jackson Miller. So I think if I was going to like any of the stories from that, I would like those 2 because I love Ray Carson's Most Wanted, which I talked about, and she also wrote my favorite story out of From a Certain Point of View, which is the red one about the R4 unit with the bad motivator on Tatooine. And so I wanted to read that. And then John Jackson Miller is basically Star Wars author royalty. So one of these days I'll finish it. But it was good. My voice just cracked. It was good. The problem was Canto Bight came out and, like, we had From a Certain Point of View, which I loved, but it was a short story anthology. And then they dropped Canto Bight and Legends of Luke Skywalker. And Legends of Luke Skywalker is really, really good. That's by Ken Liu. And I might not have said that right, but he actually has Django did a text-based interview with Ken for our blog site, which you can find on, if you go to port-haven.com and click on interviews, you'll see it on there. And it was just so many anthologies. It was like 3 anthologies in like three or 4 months, and I just couldn't do it anymore. Like, I needed another book that had a whole plot in the whole book. So one of these days I'll go back and finish it. But, like, I mean, yeah, it's technically pointless, but, like, the point, I guess, is to know more about Canto Bight. So if you thought that planet was cool, it's a really good book for that. But if you didn't care about Canto Bight, it's not going to add a lot for you, really. But yeah, no problem. I was happy talking to you guys. I am going to run because I am a little bit tired and spacey, and I feel like I'm going in 5 different directions. But I'm glad you guys hung out. I think this worked. If you guys would be interested in something like this again, let me know. Just because I'm happy to do it. I don't know. We did recently start a Discord, which should be linked in the description, and that is a great way to be in touch with us. Like today, the stream changed, and so going to the Discord is a great way to know if the stream changes. Yeah, the link's in the description. So, like, if there's going to be a change in the Discord, or if there's going to be a change in the stream schedule or something, I'll probably talk about it there more than I will on Twitter. So if you really want to know, like, ahead of time when we're going to be streaming and stuff, or, like, if something happens, that's the best way to reach us. There's also a place, thank you, Yagi, I appreciate that. It's also a great way to give us suggestions on, like, what you would like us to see, like, what we should do streams on and stuff. I'll do a couple quick shout outs. McYagi, who's been so helpful in chat, also has a YouTube channel. If you click on his name, you can go to it. He also has a Twitch channel, which I think is just twitch.com/McYagi, or is there like an underscore after McYagi? No, I think it's run by a robot that has the underscore after his name. But he's great. He does a lot of. You just finished up LA Noire, yeah? And I don't know if you were streaming. Or you were streaming the other day. I was watching you. I genuinely don't remember though. That's bad. No underscores. Okay. I was watching some of your LA Noire streams though. Those were super fun. The Negotiator has a YouTube channel. He's very shy about it, but it's super awesome. You should go check it out. Bosk's Bounty. You're playing Paladins. That's why I forgot, because I see Paladins and I think Foxy Tom. And I was like, I remember watching it, like, this is like Foxy Tom's game, but instead there was a McYagi. Bosk's Bounty has a collector's channel for action figures. Super cool channel to check out as well. Bare Naked Gaming, who's been popping up in here, has a channel. He's been streaming a lot of Red Dead Redemption Dose, which is pretty cool. This many. Red Dead Redemption this many. Did I catch everybody? I'm sorry if I didn't call you out. I especially feel bad because I feel like people say hi to me at the beginning of the stream, and then I see so many names. I don't catch everybody. But I really appreciate you guys hanging out. This seemed to go well. So that's good. That's good. I'm excited to talk to you guys. I will probably stream. The goal right now is to stream Jedi Academy tomorrow. And that will be earlier in the day. That'll be probably around noon Eastern Standard Time. And it's currently 5:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, like, tomorrow, but 5 hours sooner. I will probably stream. And then we will probably be quiet until Sunday, where I'll review the mid-season finale of Resistance. They dropped a video, a preview. I haven't watched the preview yet, but it's going to have a lot of the First Order in it, I guess. I'm really excited and nervous about what's going to happen. But thanks so much for hanging out, guys. I know I've been saying goodbye for like 20 minutes. I appreciate you guys. Definitely drop by the Discord. Definitely say hi. There's a lot of really fun commands. That's the best thing I can offer, is that we got a little silly. There's a lot of cool commands. But I will talk to you all later, and thanks for hanging out.